Another day, another troubling headline about FBI Director Kash Patel's use of taxpayer money. Government emails obtained by the Associated Press show Patel was allowed to snorkel at the Pearl Harbor Memorial in Hawaii last summer, one of the nation's most hallowed sites. As one Marine veteran trained to check on the site put it, it's like having a bachelor party at a church. At the time, the FBI had insisted Patel was there on official business. What they didn't say was that Patel returned to Hawaii later for 2 more days, and that's when he went on that private snorkeling excursion. It is the latest in a pattern of Patel blending professional responsibilities with leisure activities on the taxpayer's dime. Joining me now is Michael Feinberg, MS Now national security and intelligence analyst and former FBI assistant special agent in charge. Michael, first, have you ever heard about anything like this before?
I have not. Actually, quite the contrary. It's drilled into special agents who make up most of the executive ranks in the FBI from their first day at the academy that they should not leverage their position with the U.S. government to accrete to themselves private benefits like this. There's a legendary story told to new recruits about something as simple as a veteran agent trying to get more meat on a deli sandwich and how inappropriate that was. That is the example used to show you what using your position to gain an out-of-line benefit looks like. What Kash Patel is alleged to have done is orders of magnitude worse than that. He not only was obtaining an outing for himself not available to the general public, but he was doing it at a place that contains the remains, the corpses of American patriots who died serving their country. It's really difficult for me to think of a more inappropriate place he could have chosen in the entirety of the United States and its surrounding waterways to essentially get a private VIP snorkeling tour.
That Marine veteran I quoted before, who is actually trained to dive down to the USS Arizona annually to check on the condition of the wreck, also told the AP that it's inappropriate for Patel and other figures to snorkel or dive there, saying, just what you said, it's hallowed ground. It needs to be treated with the solemnity it deserves. At the same time, though, I think I should point out that the head of the Sons and Daughters of Pearl Harbor Survivors wrote, I have not heard of anyone who would object to these visits as they are very rare and there aren't any survivors of the Arizona left alive. Their children might have some objections, but I haven't heard any. I wonder, though, given what you said about how you're trained when you're a new recruit, how you think the men and the women of the FBI see it, where their leader has done this.
The men and women of the FBI are exhausted by Patel's antics in general, to the point where they may be numb to them because they happen so fast and furious these days that they bleed into one another. But this isn't about whether an individual victim of the Pearl Harbor attacks kin or issue would feel offensive at this. This is just about having a general respect for American history and the notion of sacrifice and the notion of patriotism. The site where he chose to go on a snorkeling frolic is functionally a mausoleum for armed service members who had no choice or say in where their bodies remain. They made the ultimate sacrifice for their country. One would hope that the respect due to that sacrifice would have caused Patel to at least pause before doing this. But I think we all know by now that such reflective pauses and self-awareness are just not a part of his constitutional makeup.
Patel had, as you know, already sparked controversy by taking the FBI's private plane to see his girlfriend perform the national anthem at a Pennsylvania wrestling event. He was seen chugging beers, celebrating with the U.S. men's hockey team on a trip that was supposed to be official business. Beyond the questions about whether Patel is focused on the job, What's your sense? Do you think he can survive these questions about having a great time on the taxpayer's dime?
At the risk of sounding glib, I really hope not. Um, Largely because I think the men and women of the FBI deserve a better leader. I think the American public deserves a better FBI director. And it's really not about one or two incidents. Um, it's about how he approaches his appointment to director in the first place. When I was in the FBI, the good leaders were the ones who realized that their positions were not due to them as a matter of course. They were not an opportunity for them to leverage power or enrich themselves. In fact, leadership was not something that accrued a benefit to you personally at all. It was a responsibility. It was a duty. It was a burden. Your job was to be a protective shield to stop outside forces, externalities, extraneous details from stopping your team from doing their mission. The problem is Patel's antics, his hijinks, his inability to stay out of negative press stories is the very thing that is now hindering the organization. If he had any dignity and respect for the country as a whole, he would realize that the reputation he has earned is harming the Bureau, and for the good of the workforce, he would step away.